Isaac and his mother lived alone in a small house on a hill. Isaac kept to himself, drawing pictures and playing with his toys as his mom watched Christian broadcasts on the television. Life was simple, and they were both happy. That was until the day Isaac's mom heard a voice from above. "Your son has become corrupted by sin. He needs to be saved." "I will do my best to save him, my lord," Isaac's mother replied, rushing into Isaac's room, removing all that was evil from his life. Again the voice called to her. "Isaac's soul is still corrupt. He needs to be cut off from all that is evil in this world and confess his sins." "I will follow your instructions, Lord. I have faith in thee," Isaac's mother replied, as she locked Isaac in his room, away from the evils of the world. One last time, Isaac's mom heard the voice of God calling to her. "You've done as I've asked, but I still question your devotion to me. To prove your faith, I will ask one more thing of you." "Yes, Lord, anything," Isaac's mother begged. "To prove your love and devotion, I require a sacrifice. Your son Isaac will be this sacrifice. Go into his room and end his life as an offering to me to prove you love me above all else." "Yes, Lord," she replied, grabbing a butcher's knife from the kitchen. Isaac, watching through a crack in his door, trembled in fear. Scrambling around his room to find a hiding place, he noticed a trapdoor to the basement hidden under his rug. Without hesitation, he flung open the hatch, just as his mother burst through his door and threw himself down into the unknown depths below.
Howdy everybody, ArgonMatrix here, welcoming you to episode 1 of Let's Play The Binding of Isaac Afterbirth. Alright, well this is a bit of a blast from the past. If you've been around for a while, you know that probably over a year ago at this point, I can't even remember the exact time, I did a brief little, sort of start to a Binding of Isaac Rebirth Let's Play. And I did fairly well there. I got sort of into that, 20 episodes or so, before I had to call it quits for reasons, unfortunately. But in the interim, they have released this new expansion to the Binding of Isaac called the Binding of Isaac Afterbirth, obviously. It's an expansion to Rebirth, a paid DLC. Actually, I don't remember if it was paid or not. It might have been free. Regardless, it added a lot of new content to the game, as you can see, potentially even just from some of the stuff here. I think we got Lilith here, unlocked by beating Greed Mode with Azazel, who is over here, another character we haven't unlocked yet. We did unlock in the Rebirth Let's Play, but I'm going to be starting from sort of scratch here, from a default save file. Going to be playing on hard mode. There's this new mode, Greed Mode. We'll get into all this. We'll get into all the minutiae as we go, but I just sort of want to get back into this because I play a lot of this game in my off time. I have almost 1,000 hours on Steam, as crazy as that might sound. And I'd sort of just with the start of the new year here in 2017, I'd like to have this as a sort of running series on my channel. Just I don't know if it's ever going to have a strict end point, because even after I get all the unlocks in the game and everything, there's still you can still play this. It has basically infinite replayability. So, yeah, this could just be running for a long time, and we're going to try and go with it. I'm going to hope that it doesn't succumb to the same fate as Rebirth. I think I'm in a better place in my life now to be able to do this sort of thing, and yeah, let's get right into it, because the only character we can play right now is Isaac. We're going to be playing on hard mode, like I said, because that's how you get all the unlocks. You can play on normal mode if you prefer that difficulty, but you won't be able to unlock all the items and achievements and stuff unless you play on hard mode. So let's get right into it. This first run might be a little short, just on the short side compared to the rest of the runs here, just because you don't get access to as many floors as you normally would if you've played through the game many times like I have. Now, being that I know quite a lot about this game, a lot of the stuff that I say and try to explain might I don't know, might be confusing to someone who's never seen this game. I don't know how familiar my audience really is with this sort of game. We got Judgment, and we got the Empress. I'll take the Empress. That is a damage bonus for 1 room when we use that card. So that could be nice. Yeah, so pardon me if my explanations of things get a little janky from time to time, or if I just forget to explain certain things that I may or may not have explained in the Rebirth Let's Play if you watch that. It's going to be a bit of a bumpy time, but if you have any questions about anything, feel free to ask in the comments, obviously. And another interesting thing that's going to be happening with this Let's Play is that pretty soon after this, after I'm recording this episode, they are going to be releasing another new expansion to the Binding of Isaac, which may well be the final expansion as far as I know, called Afterbirth Plus, which adds, I think, 1 new character, a bunch of new items. See, our first item is money equals power, which increases our damage based on how much money we have. We currently have 0, so it's not going to do anything for us, but it's sort of a slow burn kind of item. It does incentivize not spending as much money, which I'm not sure if I'm a fan of, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, I guess, depending on if we need to spend any money on anything. Yeah, so when Afterbirth Plus comes out, I'll probably upgrade my game to that, and then I'll be playing through sort of semi-blind, which will be an interesting experience for me with this game especially, because like I said, I've got so much time invested into this, and so much of it is like ingrained in my psyche, that adding new elements and items and characters and stuff like that to this experience is going to be... It'll be interesting for sure. It's something I've gone through when the classic Binding of Isaac game got updated to Rebirth, and again when Rebirth got updated to Afterbirth, and also sort of recently with the fan expansion, fan-made sort of DLC, quote-unquote, Anti-Birth, which I might play a little bit of in some of these videos. I'm not sure. It's not an official content release, Anti-Birth, but it is a very in-depth, well-made sort of Afterbirth-esque type thing. It's not compatible with Afterbirth, it's only compatible with Rebirth as of this recording. What that might be changing in the future, I'm not sure. That's neither here nor there right now, though, unfortunately. We're just going to be playing Afterbirth, fighting Monstro here, and subsequently killing Monstro, probably the easiest boss in the game. Well, actually, that's debatable. There's many many varieties of bosses. So we got the safety pin, which is an evil range, and I think shot speed upgrade. I think that's what it said there. It's hard to... There's so many items that it's hard to try and remember all of them. But yeah, we also got that black heart up in the top corner now with our health. I'm not sure if that's... I don't think that was new to Afterbirth, the black hearts. I think that was in Rebirth as well. But in case it wasn't, basically it's a temporary sort of heart that's... When you lose it, it will damage all enemies on the room for a pretty significant amount, actually. So it's sort of, if you get into a really tight situation and wind up getting hit a bunch in subsequent turns, then it can kind of save your ass sometimes. Lord knows it saved my ass quite a few times. Oh, I should have used the Empress on that boss fight. That's what I typically tend to save those sorts of cards for, those like damage boosters. Those one-room damage boosters tend to be best saved for boss fights, but against Monstro I didn't feel it too strictly necessary. Got a bunch of bombs here, but no keys, unfortunately, which is gonna come to be a bit of a problem if we don't find any for too much longer here, because on the first floor of this game, the item room, that sort of golden room that we got money equals power in, oh, that's nice. That rainbow poop, by the way, didn't do anything for us just now, I don't think. I don't know, we might have been missing some health, but it basically restores you to full health when you shoot it down. Also, you can see this sort of odd-colored rock just above me here with a little X on it. That's what's called a tinted rock, and if you blow it up, there's a pretty decent chance to get some of these spirit hearts out of it, which are the same as black hearts, except they don't damage enemies when you lose them. And... oh god, I lost my train of thought now. Yeah, the item rooms beyond the first floor do require keys in order to access. There's another tinted rock right there, so I'm going to go ahead and bomb that open. So hopefully we can find a key here. I was hoping actually one of those tinted rocks would have them, because that's another spoil that tends to happen. We unlock Lazarus, which is another playable character you get for having 4 or more spirit hearts on one run, which clearly we do right now. Actually, with these spirit hearts, I can probably head into this curse room here. There we go, we got the 2 of hearts, which sort of doubles your health. Not your heart containers, but your red health that's within those heart containers. Like if I have 1.5 hearts within my red health, then I could double that back into full health at 3 hearts. If that made any sense whatsoever, I applaud you for following along with that, because even to me, who was saying it, that made very little sense. Alright, I'm going to keep exploring a little bit here just to see if I can locate this item room. Not that it has any strict benefit for me right now. Oh, never mind, there's, we actually just got 2 keys off those guys, which is quite lucky if I'm being honest. So let's pick these up. Yeah, I was going to say, it doesn't benefit us extremely to find the item room because we didn't have any keys, but now we do, so that's a moot point, I suppose. And another thing to consider beyond the first floor is if you take any red heart damage, that is obviously damage to your red heart containers, which doesn't include spirit hearts or black hearts, or I think that's it, yeah, because there's a third kind of heart, or I guess technically a 4th kind of heart if you include red hearts, that we haven't seen yet, but that's sort of encapsulated within red hearts. It's hard to explain without actually seeing it. Lovely. I found pills that actually is a pill that does effectively nothing except kind of change your expression to this derpy face. We got Sloth in here, one of the mini-bosses named after the 7 deadly sins. That's one thing about this game, too. If you're easily offended by a sort of religious symbology, you might not be the right person to be watching these videos, which should be okay, because there will hopefully be other content for you to watch, which may or may not be Bloodborne, which I don't know how much better that is. 2 of Spades is an item, or a card that doubles our keys, which is not exceptionally useful at the time I used it, but I want to keep the Empress around. Sloth will open a secret room here, which contains these switches, which sometimes give you consumables, sometimes give you enemies like this. Looks like we got pretty unlucky with that haul. Man, the item room's gonna be like the last thing I find in here. I should actually blow this up, because I'll get my bomb back for free, effectively, and also get this penny, so I'm alright with that, especially with our money equals power synergy going on here. Yeah, like I was saying before I got interrupted by myself, which is going to probably happen a lot, especially in these early videos when I'm trying to explain all the nitty-gritty here, which might not be the best idea. I don't know if it's better to explain as I go, or like try to explain everything at once, but anyway, like I was trying to say, if you take red heart damage on the 2nd floor here, that decreases your odds of getting a deal with the devil after the boss fight, which is basically sort of a room where you can exchange HP for potentially very powerful items. Not always, but it's more often than not a good idea to try and get a deal with the devil. And yeah, if you take red heart damage, that decreases your odds, and if you take red heart damage against the boss specifically, that greatly decreases your odds. So having spirit hearts, especially as many as we do right now, for the process here is quite helpful. You cannot possibly get a deal with the devil on the 1st floor of the game unless you pick up certain items. Well, actually, not even a certain item. It's a certain card that you would need, but I'm getting way in over my head now. I really need to just kind of slow down. Let me just, because I've been talking like really fast for like the first few minutes of this video, I feel like. So let's just take a breather, take in these enemies. Of course, once I try to take a breather is when I finally get hit against these guys. By the way, the kind of weirdly colored and also larger enemies, they are called champion enemies. And effectively, the difference that they have is that they sometimes have different effects when they get killed. Like this guy will explode into bullets like that. And they also, when they hit you, they deal 1 full heart of damage instead of a half heart, like a normal enemy would. This is Sissy Longlegs. She loves us. Aww, she's kind of adorable. She just kind of walks around pooping out spiders on occasion. Not spiders that'll hurt us, but actually attack spiders that will fight for us and do a pretty nice amount of damage. I think the damage of the spiders is actually dependent upon your tier damage, so if we can amass more money and get money equals power kind of up there, then that'll be good for us. Alright, we spent way too long on this floor, I feel like, so let's get in here and fight Larry Jr., which is debatably probably an easier boss than Monstro. And I can probably think of a couple bosses even easier than Larry Jr. here. Got pretty lucky with our boss encounters on these first couple of floors. Because there are some nasty bosses on the first 2 floors. Monstrous Tooth has appeared in the basement. That is a new item that we'll come across. Pageant Boy gives us a bunch of money, which is obviously great with our money equals power synergy. And here is the deal with the devil I was talking about. We can walk in and we can trade 1 heart for ceremonial robes there, which I will absolutely do. Because what ceremonial robes does, it's a sin up. It gives us, I think it was 3 black hearts there, and a pretty significant damage upgrade as well. So here's my stats, by the way. I should actually get in the habit of showing off this screen at the start of each run, because it has a seed over there if you want to play along. I'll put that in the description as well. R2TK0ZJ0. That's like a really weird one to say. It's kind of a tongue twister almost. But I digress. Oh. Man, I'm so used to skipping those vignettes and between floors there that I forgot that some of them are actually kind of cute in sort of sad ways. Alright, this is what they call a mob trap room, where basically there's a reward in the center, which is usually a chest, sometimes an item, sometimes a more high value chest than this one. And basically you pick up the reward at the cost of fighting 2 or 3 waves of enemies, depending on the floor you're on. And there's also a variant called boss trap rooms, where you guessed it, you fight 2 or 3 bosses, depending on the floor you're on. And sometimes that can be worth it. Most of the time I'll end up fighting them anyway, because unless I'm like absolutely swamped with consumables and it's just like a normal chest like this. But you know, I can always use more consumables, never hurts. Got a lot of excess spirit hearts and stuff here, and black hearts, which I'm gonna get in the habit of probably calling cursed hearts, because that's what I call them in my off time when I talk to myself about this game, you know, as you do. You know, once you get 1,000 hours into a game, you tend to pick up a thing or two. Ooh, looks like that sound that you just heard that kind of interrupted the music there signifies a secret room being opened, which is honestly one of my Achilles heel sort of things in Isaac, is that I have a bad habit of not really looking for secret rooms. They just kind of happen by accident, as you've noticed from the last floor when Sloth opened them up. Tears down, that's actually pretty bad. Basically what tears is our fire rate, so it decreases the amount of tears we can shoot per second. Am I a wizard? Apparently I am. You're a wizard, Harry. Now we got this kind of wonky shot thanks to that pill, but only for a little while. It'll go away after a bit, which is fine by me, because it's kind of hard to aim with this thing. Especially against these spiders that kind of just charge you head on. Get out of here. Come on. Ouch. Jeez, that tear rate down that I got from that other pill is not helping things much here either. There we go. We're back to normal. That is actually fine that I got that black heart to activate there. Those spiders were being bitches, man. And we got our item room here. We also have a tinted rock, which I can bomb and use as a bridge, actually, because if you bomb a rock on the other side of a gap, then you actually create a bridge like this, and we can access that sack. We got the Emperor card, which will warp us to the boss fight. And we got the Ares item here, which gives us ramming speed. Ramming speed, warp speed initiate. And effectively what that does is it gives us, I think, a small speed upgrade and also contact damage. So like, if depending on how fast we're going when we run into an enemy, they will still damage us, but we will also damage them in return. So there are certain items that actually synergizes really well with, like ones that make you invincible briefly, or invincible for the first bit of a room, or things like that. Basically, or if you just have like a ton of health and you can afford it and your tier damage is shit. Of course, I don't think the damage from Ares is anything to write home about either. I should show off these rooms, actually. I've been skipping them from floor to floor, but these are the shop rooms where you can honestly come in and spend money to buy consumables or often items like this remote detonator here, which I'm not going to buy just yet because I want to actually keep my money because I've got money equals power. I will buy this spirit heart because it's on sale for 3 cents. We also have a donation machine up here, which is currently at 0, and you want to get it all the way up to 999. You don't have to do it all in one run, obviously. That would be a little insane, and also impossible because it jams after a randomly determined amount of coins from run to run. But it will accumulate over the course of all your runs, so the amount that you donate in one run will carry over to the next run. And at certain thresholds, you will unlock new items and store upgrades, allowing you to buy more at each shop. It's a pretty interesting system. I think that existed in Rebirth as well. Yeah, excuse me if I kind of tread old ground that I've already spoken about in Rebirth, because there was so many things added to Afterbirth, and also so many things added to Rebirth that it's like, I've been playing Afterbirth for so long now that it's hard to keep track of what was added when. I have an idea of certain like key elements that were added in Afterbirth, like greed mode was the thing added in Afterbirth that wasn't in Rebirth, as well as the new character Lilith that I spoke on a little bit at the beginning of the video. Speaking of new characters, we haven't unlocked too many here. We've unlocked Lazarus, and that's kind of it so far. But I don't expect to be unlocking characters too crazily. So we got double Polycephalus here, which is kind of interesting. I rarely ever see this guy as a boss anymore, and now I see two of them. I'm seeing double, man. Like, more often than not, you see this guy on the later floors appearing as just a standard enemy, which is something that kind of you'll have to get used to, is that as you get later on in the floors, you'll start to run into bosses just in normal rooms. But by then, you're usually powerful enough to deal with bosses on a room-to-room basis. Even now, these guys are not especially tough. It's just, you just kind of gotta... It's kind of tough to keep track of two of them at once, but there we go. And the tears, I believe this is... the screw, excuse me, it's a tears and shot speed up, which is nice. Sort of compensates for that bad pill we got earlier. And let's head on down to the next floor. I don't see a reason to stick around here too much longer. We are cruising, man. And the flooded caves, too. Okay, I'm going to skip that curse room for now and see what this room is. This is a library where we get Telepathy for Dummies, which is an active item that we can activate with our spacebar. It gives us homing tears for one room, which is kind of cool. Two of clubs, I'm just going to go ahead and use. We got the chariot, which makes us invincible for a... It makes us invincible and also gives us contact damage for a brief time in one room. It's pretty good, honestly, but I'm going to go ahead and keep the Emperor just for usefulness, utility's sake, I suppose. Teleport cards are often quite useful for not only teleporting to special rooms like the boss fight with the Emperor, but also getting out of sticky situations if you find yourself in one. Kind of a late activation on Telepathy for Dummies there, but I'm not sweating it too much. It recharges after two rooms, as you can see by the charge meter next to it up there. Which is not so bad, given that it has relatively limited uses. Because homing tears, they're pretty good, and if you can get like a permanent homing tears upgrade in the form of like Spoonbender or, heaven forbid, Sacred Heart or something like that, then they're honestly great, but in the form of Telepathy for Dummies or the Magician card or something like that, it's just sort of not all that, I guess I'll say politely. Alright, double key room here. This is a 4-room. I never remember what these dice rooms do, like all of them. Like, I remember what certain ones do. Number 4 is not one that I fully remember. I think it rerolls item pedestals. Like all the items that are on pedestals, like in the item rooms on the floor. It'll reroll all of those. I'm not positive on that. It might be one of the ones that like rerolls all consumables on the ground or all consumables in that room. In which case I kind of just squandered it a little bit there. This is kind of a nasty room, honestly. I really do not like these bloated sort of human popcorn guys that spawn those creeps. I don't know. It's hard. I used to know the names for most of the enemies in this game. Like those guys we just killed are bonies, which always makes me think of Mother 3, hilariously enough. It's like this is like the last game you would ever even think of when playing this game. But every time I see them, it's like, oh, it's like Boney, man. Alright, oh, that guy's invisible. It's sort of camouflage champion there. It's a little bit hard to see unless you're actually hitting him. He did drop a card, though, it looks like, so let's pick that up. The death card. That does mass damage to all enemies on one room, which is kind of nice. I might keep that and just, I'll probably stick with the Emperor. I was going to say use it on the next room, but the next room is kind of far away. And I don't want to trek all the way back here for the Emperor card. Honestly, we're actually kind of in a weird position. Like, we don't have that many items, and of the items that we do have, not a lot of them are great. Beyond Money is Power and Ceremonial Robes. And the Screw is actually a pretty significant upgrade as well. So hopefully this item room can give us something nice. If not, Anti-grav tears. Or anti-gravity. I forget what the actual item is called, but I will pick it up because it is a tears upgrade. Anti-gravity. And it makes our tears do this sort of thing where they don't actually fire until we let go of the button like that, and they all fire off at once. It makes for some pretty interesting tier synergies, and the tears upgrade that you get from it is not insignificant by any stretch. That's the boomerang. I'm not gonna pick that up, I don't think, because I still like. That's the one bad thing about getting money equals power, especially in my first run of the game on YouTube here, is that it doesn't incentivize picking up anything at shops, unfortunately. And actually, you know what, now I'm thinking about it, anti-grav tears in combination with telepathy for dummies could be kinda cool. Like, I don't know, dude, I don't think the tears like drift into enemies. I think they still have to be fired in order to home into the enemies, but it's still a potential sort of synergy there. Albeit a weird one. Alright, I'm just taking damage like an idiot right now. I need to focus. You need to sit down and focus. We got Gertie here. Probably one of the worst bosses to have telepathy for dummies against, because he just sits in the middle of the room, so why the hell do you need homing tears for that? But I will use it just because I have it active and ready. Alright, I'm really going to try not to take any more damage against Gertie here, because I should be able to secure myself a deal with the devil, which I may or may not be able to take depending on what it actually is, because I'm pretty low on health right here. We'll see, though. There are certain items that I would definitely compromise on. Little Chubby has appeared in the basement. I think we get that for clearing the caves for the first time. And Mom's Pearls is a range and luck up. We do not get a deal with the devil, unfortunately. Like I said, actually I don't know if I said this, but even if you don't take any red heart damage on the floor, it's still not guaranteed, especially if you got to deal with the devil on the last floor that you were on. Alright. Got the Depths 1 here. So this is the second to last floor of this run. The last boss of this first run here will be on the next floor. I'm going to go ahead and I think, you know what, I'll do one room in order to get my telepathies for dummies recharged. Not this room, because that won't give me a charge. This room will, if I can. Oh, damn it. Alright. That is actually pretty bad, all things told, because obviously I'm really low on health now. And I was kind of banking on using the Emperor card to fight the boss right away and get a deal with the devil, potentially. But now that's kind of hooped. I mean, I could still try it, I guess, but I'd rather pick up more health before going into a boss fight. Oh, these guys are nasty. Especially with only one heart left, because I think even if they're not champions, they do 1 heart of damage. Which is pretty bad for me. Obviously, because 1 heart of damage is enough to kill me right now. Alright, come on, come on. Oh, Jesus. Okay, he doesn't do a heart of damage. Only these chub guys do. Alright. Well, it looks like we might lose. This guy actually has the potential to drop a heart. Oh, he did. Oh my god, he's a savior. Our Lord and Savior, red chub enemy. There we go. And this beam shooting guy now is the last one. Oh, he's so annoying. Alright. Obviously not in a great spot right now. You know, I played 1,000 hours this game. I never said I was any good at it. Okay, let's head down this way. By the way, something I may have you may have noticed that I neglected to mention is that when you complete a big room like that, like up on the map there, that room that you just completed that was larger than normal, obviously. When you complete a room like that, it'll recharge 2 of your Oh, this is actually kind of good. These enemies will hop right to our tiers, which is nice. Okay, there we go. It'll recharge 2 of your charges on your active item, which is, for us, our full active item, because it only has 2 charges, obviously. Just gotta time this just right. There we go. Running into a lot more hazards now that actually do a full heart of damage, including these spikes here, which is pretty scary for me. Thankfully, it won't kill me in one shot anymore, but it'll put me in a pretty bad position, obviously. And explosions also do a full heart of damage, as with these bomb flies. Thankfully, once you complete the room... Ooh, okay. Those turrets stop shooting. These guys, I believe, just do a half heart of damage, which is nice for me. Oh, a spirit heart. That could be that could come in clutch for sure. I'm gonna just kind of let these guys hop over to my tiers, just like in the previous room we had them in. Thank God for anti-grav tiers. Normally not a huge fan of the item. It does have some pretty powerful synergies, I'm not gonna lie about that, but they are so niche that it often doesn't even come into play. I'm actually just gonna not even fire my tiers, I don't think, against these guys. Oh, they do. It does look like they actually drift if the enemies get close enough, if I haven't fired them yet. But obviously these enemies you can only hit from the back in their sort of spongy, brainy section. But if I just kind of let them walk into the tiers, then they take care of that for themselves, so I don't even have to aim anything. Alright, there's the boss fight down there. I still want to go and try and find my item room, which will necessitate going through that spiky room that we kind of walked away from earlier. Thankfully, I feel in a bit of a better situation to take it on now that I have a spirit heart backing me up. Alright, let's be careful here. Sort of fake this thing out. There we go, we're good. Alright, oh, that laugh sound sort of means that one of these guys, not always a skeletal one, but what they're called is Mom's Hands, which will make sort of sense if you paid attention to the intro cutscene and the story of this game. Which I haven't even explained any of that, but because, as you might be able to tell, this is not largely a story-focused game, or at least they don't shove the narrative right in your face or anything. It's sort of subtly there throughout just the gameplay elements, which is a really nice way to do a story. One of the many reasons that I love this game. You can put a bomb down, sort of like you would for a Dodongo in Zelda, and he eats them right up. Obviously, the references to Zelda, especially classic Zelda, are rampant throughout this game, being a top-down sort of explorer, like the first Zelda game was. Alright, that'll refill our hearts, that's nice. Ooh, this is pretty bad. Alright, we got out of that situation. It was a little hairy, and we did get hit, obviously. I'm gonna head into that shop and see if there's at least a spirit heart or something for sale, because that would probably be worthwhile. I'll definitely, oh, it's greed. That's one nasty thing about the shops, that sometimes they can have greed or super greed even, which is a even nastier version of this mini-boss in there. He does drop a lot of money if you kill him, just like that. And he can also sometimes drop what's called the Steam sale as well, which is a very clever nod to the platform in which this game has been released, or in which this game was initially released anyway. And it also halves the price of any item in the shop, if you can actually buy any items in the shop, because greed might appear. He only appears once per run, though, if that. So, like, sometimes he doesn't appear on any run. Sometimes greed and super greed will appear. It's a hard knock life, man. All right, here's our item. I believe that's Infestation, which is nice. I think that means when we take damage, which we've been doing left, right, and center, obviously, it'll spawn attack flies for us, which are like our attack spiders, but I think they do a little bit less damage, although they can fly, so they can cross gaps unlike our spiders, which is arguably more useful than the extra damage of the spiders. There's certainly an argument to be had about that. Alright, I'm going to make my way over to the boss room here. Pretty slow run, all things considered. I'm playing extra cautiously just because I really don't want to die on my first playthrough on my channel of Afterbirth anyway. In Rebirth, I think I won my first run. I don't fully remember. Alright, we got the gate here, which is a bit of a nasty boss. I'm not going to lie about that. Sometimes he actually does kill his own minions, though. It looks like his bullets do a full heart of damage, which means I'm dead. Alright, just after I talked about not losing my first run, we died to the gate. Well, you win some, you lose some. What can I say? That is going to be it for this video, though. I'm going to effectively limit this to one run per video, because obviously they're going to get pretty long, especially... I mean, some runs will be longer, some will be shorter. It wasn't all in vain, thankfully. We did unlock Lazarus. That's what I get, though, I guess, for not concentrating so much. To be fair, I was concentrating on sort of explaining things, but I'm just making excuses now. Anyways, thanks everyone for watching. Next time we'll pick up and maybe play as Lazarus, or try Isaac again. Who knows? This is ArgonMatrix, signing out. Thank you and good night.